on.
It's time for Roll for Combat.
I don't even know what the...
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Roll for Combat Live. I'm Mark Seifter, the director of game design, Roll for Combat. We also have Stephen Glicker, the publisher of Roll for Combat. We've got, at popular demand, Derek Melenda from Knights of Last Call is back after his bout with laryngitis. And we also have Gabor and Tommy from Elder Brain here today. One of our fabled 5-person panels. Stephen swore he would never do again after the last time, but I think they're really fun. And we're here to talk to you today about the topic of where have all the massive D&D adventures and settings gone?
Yeah. So if you guys are probably aware of Elder Brain because I see their advertisements all the time on Facebook. And I actually bought it because I got one of their advertisements of these massive tomes. This isn't even the big one. This is the little one. This is how much is this one? This one's only like 500 pages.
I have
the baby one.
The baby one. I have a 900 page. I couldn't find it. I don't know where I put it. The 900 page monster is around here somewhere as well. And you guys have a backer kit now of another campaign adventure. How big is that one?
That's supposed to be 600 when we finish, but we're always overflowing. So
sounds like people after my own heart. It's too big.
When I hear Elder Brain, I mean, obviously, I guess it's a Mind Flayer reference, but I can't help but think of Gleemax. Does anyone remember Gleemax?
Oh yeah,
I was on Gleemax. Of course, I was.
The Wizards community attempt in the 4E era.
I liked Gleemax. There was a game on there. Do you remember there was like a Goblin game? It was a web-based Goblin game. I love that game. I played it every day until I ran out of things to do. That was like the only thing I did on there, but I did it every day. So, but yeah, you guys specialize in just big stuff, like big, and like huge books, huge settings. And what's fascinating is that everyone is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I mean, Wizards even just added that new thing to their D&D Beyond drops, where you get a small piece of content every week. So now it's like lots and lots of small pieces, and their adventures have gone from, one mega adventure to 8 or 9 or 10 mini adventures that are loosely linked to each other, so you can insert them into your stuff. And it looks like, and even Paizo's kind of going this route. Like everyone's going the route of lots and lots of little content.
Not completely with Paizo though,
Not
because
completely.
they did at the same time that you are absolutely right that the smaller ones got smaller, and they've got this new game that is even going to be like that too. It seems like, but at the same time, they've changed the adventure paths from monthly smaller adventures into just a compilation of all of them, which is a bigger book. I think that's a smart move, because when you have a 6-part or a 3-part adventure, the number of people who buy the last part is necessarily like much smaller than the number of people who bought the first part, and it throws your things off balance. If you sell it all together, everybody buys all of the parts.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was looking for. Like they do have they do have things like I don't know, like these are like mini adventures. Like they are coming out with mini adventures though.
Oh sure.
Like books of mini adventures. So
well, let's be real here. Okay. Like, I mean, I saw Dr. Waits in chat, by the way, who said shout out to Slumbering Sar, right? Here's Slumbering Sar.
Mm-hmm. I got Slumbering Sar.
This was a massive frog guy. This was like over 1,000. But these are right, this is aspirational, right? Like how many people who buy these, even a full 1 to 20 campaign ever actually complete it, let alone use all of it. So it is aspirational.
I was gonna say, I mean, do you have numbers? Like how many people have finished this thing?
Well, we have, we on our Discord, we have many people who have their game logs going on. And they've been playing this for years, and now they finished Crown the Oathbreaker, all 900 pages. They switched torrents, the one you just held up, and they do play it. Of course, we know this is a niche market, and you need dedicated people with probably a lot of time on hand to be able to play these games. But there are people who love these, and we are, how we started out this was all about us loving these long format games, long campaigns, really complex stories. There are a lot of branches and maybe even side quests which fit into the theme and the region, and the whole feeling just gives you an extra feeling of the world and whatnot. And we always played. I mean, for the past, I don't know, almost 4 decades we've been playing, like I would say 35 years at least, 38 years. We always played one big adventure for, let's say, if we're you're familiar with Kingmaker, I guess. So for Kingmaker, we spent like 2.5 years. Savage Tide, you might know this one.
Oh yeah.
The last pieces of dungeon. I DM'd it, and I actually added. It wasn't big enough, so I added like 6-7.
Oh my god!
The cave of Demogorgon, the kitchen of Demogorgon, the pantry of Demogorgon, and whatnot. So all of these extra stories.
What's Demogorgon's lair? Is it Abyssum? Is that his lair? Abyssum? Wasn't enough. I think it's Abyssum. But anyways, but it doesn't matter.
I don't remember. Anyway, 20 years ago.
We did the water deep dive. Double water deep adventure.
Yeah, so we always like to expand it and bathe in it for years and get really soaking up the whole atmosphere of and that's what you get when you play these. So yeah.
And we actually play tested Torrents and Scepter as well with a small group, and we did from the whole thing.
Wow.
Ourselves. So we played all our adventures.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right about it being, it's definitely, it's like a niche type thing, right? Where people are like, because, there was a time and a place where like I had my group, we played every week, sometimes we played twice a week, we played for 6 hours, and we could reasonably get through something like that. But now it's like, I'm lucky if I get maybe 2 sessions a month. And even then, like somebody's like looking at their clock, their watch after the first, 2-3 hours. And they're like, oh, the wife's, pinging me and the baby's throwing up and I got to go home. And,
exactly.
And so it's kind of like the idea of sticking with something for that long, I think is just, I think most people would love to do that. It's just like, how do I make that happen? And I think that's why you've seen the shift to the 1-page dungeons and one shots. I mean, I see stuff that makes me cringe inside where I see people who go, oh, I've run the same one shot like 10 times.
Yeah.
Like where they just keep running the same adventure over and over.
There's probably something to that as well. I mean, they might be loving it. They might love the feeling of DMing it to other people, and different outcomes. And I guess it depends on the adventure. If you can produce different outcomes, like there are several adventures like that. But yeah, I just wanted to say that, of course, as I mentioned, having time on hand is very important to run such deep games. But also, if you imagine all the big worlds that have been created, like Game of Thrones or Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, they're all immersive, large, super huge, very thematic settings that and Forgotten Realms as well, that you can dive into and enjoy the little parts everywhere, because there's so much of it that you need time to explore. So that's what we're offering, and that's what we love to do. That's just, I just wanted to raise this idea or bring this idea to the table, that these worlds are very popular, I think, because they have a lot to explore in them. I hope I'm expressing myself.
Yeah. I think, and I agree with Gabor that sometimes it can be fun to run a one shot a number of times. I've run like PaizoCon one shots or convention one shots where it's like, play with Mark Seifter, he's a game designer in the industry, and instead of just always coming up with a whole bunch of new ones each time, I had a catalog of ones that I would run, and I would make like one new one or something like that. And it's always fun to see, especially if I put like dueling motivations in the characters and the NPCs, and like what actually happens at the end of this one shot. Like what was the result of this? And there's one shot I ran, I think 3 times, and out of all 3 of them, one person completed their goal once. And that was very interesting. Yeah, no, there was another person who almost did, because they had an ability to go invisible and go in disguise. and they were doing invisible and in disguise almost every moment. But when they were about to do their goal, for some reason, they weren't in disguise. They were just invisible, and they did it in front of a PC who could see invisibility, which they did not know. And afterwards, I was like, you almost got your goal there, but she could see invisibility. Like, I can't believe it. I was in disguise every other time. I was like, yeah, sorry, man.
So let me ask you, because you put out this. I put out, this. And this though, I use a tiny font. Like you guys use a big font. This is a itty bitty little font. This is 250,000 words, this book. So it's a lot in here. And this is only 1 to 10.
I'm sure their 900-page book with
their
the
900-page
font is still more than 250,000 words, though.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, this one is 500 and this one is, how big is this one? This one's 506. But I'm not digging on you guys, but it is a bigger font. Hey, it's easier to read.
I don't think there's any problem with a bigger font. It's in fact more readable.
No, it's definitely more readable.
That's the point, actually.
Yeah, no, yours is definitely more readable. For me, I couldn't go. Once I got up to about 450 pages, it was starting to get unwieldy, and I was trying to keep the page count down, believe it or not, because once you go above 400, the math starts changing. So
you heard it here, folks. Stephen Glicker claimed that he was trying to keep the page count down. I can tell you that was only in relation to the fact that he did add everything that he thought would be cool, and it made the adventure cooler, but longer.
Wait, we were originally supposed to have the world of Battlezoo as well. That's why we had to have 2 books, because if we did it, it was going to be 900 pages, and it was going to be like, I don't know, 400,000 words. So anyhow, my point is, how did you guys write your adventure and then test them and play them? So the way we did it is we had 3 different people write 3 adventures, like part 1, part 2, part 3. But then I had to go in, and Mark, we had to go in and stitch it all together. And let me tell you, that sucked. It was a lot of work. It was very hard to stitch it together.
Even though we had like a very high level of communication between the authors, and we had a decent amount of connective tissue compared to most multi-parters I've seen. It was not easy.
Yeah, I mean, it was really not. Well, ours especially, because ours, I mean, I'm not giving anything away, but like part 1, everything connects. It's literally everything. And part 3 directly connects back to part 1.
It's easier if they're kind of really self-contained.
It's very extensive. So it's like, it's not like, oh, you can do part 1, part 2, part 3, and they went different places. Actually, part 3 directly connected back to part 1 extensively. So we really had to make sure it was connected. So how do you guys do it?
Well, if you turn to page probably 2, you'll see how many people wrote that book you're holding. It's just Tommy and I. So
oh my God. So there you go. It's easy when there's 2 people.
Yeah, what we're doing is that we've been playing together for like over 30 years now. We grew up together. We know each other quite, I wouldn't say quite, skip the quiet part. We know each other well, and we have been chiseled into the same shape in liking stuff. So what we're doing is we sit down and we just keep talking about, what kind of adventure is this? What layers of quests are in this? And then we go into more and more detail from the broad perspective to the more narrow perspective, and down to a certain level where we create all the encounter locations, and then we just split it. You start from top, I start from bottom. Let's write all of them, and then we discuss each. Of course, before we do that, we discuss each of them, how they connect, and what's the story. So there are several layers of adventuring material in each book, but I have to emphasize, and Derek has touched on this briefly, that the name Elder Brain basically means that we are relying heavily on the community, and through our Discord and our extensive surveys, we always survey what they like, what they prefer, so this helps us create adventures that are based on the preferences of our hive mind members, as we call them, and we always get back to them on Discord for the tiny details. Give us 20 room or tavern room or 100 tavern rumors, random encounters for this area, whatnot. So locations, and if you check our Discord, it's full of these questions, and they have inputs, and then we incorporate these into the book. in addition to their NPC portraits, which they can become through our crowdfundings. Even now on Spoons of the Mindrender, you can become an NPC involved being in the book and tell us how you look and what you do. So all of these put together, the two of us come from it's like creating a sculpture. You just have a block of stone and then you shape it into a shape and chisel it into, I never used the word chisel. Now I used it twice in the last 5 minutes, but you know what I mean. So you go into the details and then you go down to the very, 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 very small details. And yep, that's how we do this.
But I mean, we even talk about like room specific. So even, like dungeon location, what should be in the room, and from the overarching, plot lines, main, we have quite a number of plot lines in each story to make it more deep, and then all the way down to the, like encounter location level.
All spiced up by the community surveys and feedback.
So basically, it's just you guys are just two geeks writing adventures and publishing them, really.
Yeah.
And they write really, really, really fast. And I'm saying that. Even by my standard, they write quickly. Which I happen to know because like Linda has talked to them in the past, and the rate at which they write is mind-boggling.
It's just
and I'm saying that.
Super focused. Because I have to tell you, we come from a game design background, like computer games and development studios, and we've been creating and running games through our studios for over 20 years now, and we just started out like 21, I think 20 during the COVID era with Crown of the Oathbreaker as a passion project, and we never knew how to do this, right? So we were like, hey, let's write, and okay, now it's 400 pages. Maybe we should keep it shorter. Okay, now it's 600 pages, and then we put it all together. It became 900 pages. Then we of course had to realize that this was even too large to ship, costly to ship and costly to print, and it's totally not logical to create products like this. But we loved it, and I hope, and actually from the feedback, our community loves it as well. So this is our opus magnum, but we had to cut back, and we had to actually put measures there. So we were like, all right, so not a city with 140 locations in it. The community fills it up and we go crazy, but we can have 60 locations in the city. So we had to put actual measurements, borders in front of us in terms of numbers of locations and plot lines, not to overrun and keep this around 500, 600 page minutes.
See, I was born too late. I was born in the 80s, so I didn't really get into RPGs until like the early 90s. I needed to be in the era when like G1, right? Like Steading of the Hill Giant Chief or whatever. I think it's like 12 pages, it's like 15 pages. Yeah. I think B2 Keep on the Borderlands might chalk in at like 25 or something like that. That's more my speed. That's like my era of length of complexity. You guys just blow me away with how you're able to it's one thing to produce like one of these things. You talked about your magnum opus. But like to like make one of these and then go, all right, well, on to the next one and on to the next one. It's just, I consider myself a creative person, but I feel like a desert of wastefulness.
No, and it was 30 years of building up, all of this, and we were always playing, and we were like, hey, this was fun for all four of you, and it's gone for eternity. Now you only four of you remember, so we just played here, and then we were all building up this for 30 years, and with the 900-page Crown the Oathbreaker, it just all spilled out, right? Like everything we loved and wanted to put into a book, and then actually we planned for 5 books, and as Steven said, we have a similar thing that there's an underlying story actually going through the 5 books, and even if you put the the back the spines. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's getting late here in Europe.
Yeah.
When you're putting the spines next to each other, there's this image building up. So all the 5 books will cover one big underlying story, and
that's pretty sweet.
The last one after Spawns of the Mindrender, Eclipse of the Night Feeder will be the final big finale.
Oh, so really, this is just like chapter 1. So actually, if you really want to play them, you're gonna have to play.
It's a later chapter.
It is, but you know what I mean. You literally have to play all. What is it? 4 or 5 900-page books. If you really want the full experience, so it's not.
Well, yes, if you want the full experience and you want to understand why things happen that way in each book, which all culminate to this one final episode in book 5, you have to play oral. You have to spend over like 8-10 years.
8-10 years, that's nothing.
So Stephen, I think we found the answer to your question. When you made this episode, you asked the question, where have all the massive D&D adventures and settings gone? The answer is third party.
I knew. Well, it is fascinating to see that. No, actually, I am learning even this, because it sounds like, even you said it, like you have a very niche audience that really loves what you're doing, and they buy your products because that's what they want. And I personally also want long adventures. I that's what my guys like. I mean, we spent 6 years playing one adventure campaign. But to be fair, one thing I have noticed, and right now I'm only down to maybe 1.5, 2 hours a week playing, and we actually go pretty fast. And I was like, man, if it was back in the days when we were playing like 6, 8, 10-hour days, I'd crank through this book in just a few months, like no problem. Like we would get through this very quickly, because I did the math. I'm like, it's the number of hours is not that much. It's just that we don't play that long anymore, because the earliest my guys can start playing, it's like 7:30, and they all go to sleep by 10. So it's like that's literally the only time we get to play. And so we have this very narrow little window, and they're all busy on the weekends. It's none of this, let's play all day Saturday. And
I think it's a matter of getting...
What's that?
Yeah, I was saying we actually have the exact math, because from play testing Torrents, it was I think like 30 sessions, 28 sessions.
How many hours per session?
I think those are like speed run. It was a speed run, yeah, but it was maybe 3-4 3-hour sessions, I think. Right,
so like 100 hours.
The guys, our community said that they had like a 300 hour play time through each book. So that's about that. But I think I just want to make us all happy with this thought that we used to have this much time, and I'm really looking forward to having this much time when I'm getting older. So I'm gonna be sitting on this cruise ship. I just looked up, there's one that goes for 144 days all around the world, and then we just play, get off at Curacao, drink a cocktail, smoke a cigar, get back on the ship and play more for until the next step, and then we will have more time to play. We used to play 8, I would say maybe sometimes 10 hours Saturday, Sunday. We didn't care. We went partying on Saturday evening, went to sleep, got up early, kept playing for 8 hours next day.
So, as I shot over to the site. So the one thing too that I recognize about the structure of these long adventures is it also has, which is I guess I would say a problem with me, is it also assumes that you and your crew are going to / want to / have no intention of changing and sticking with, say, Dungeons and Dragons for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, and
or 10 years if you want to play,
or 10 years, right? Whereas like just this summer, like I'm going to be running a One Ring, a Daggerheart, an Avatar Legends, I'm running like 5 different systems. And by the winter time, I'll be running new systems. So for me, I love hopping, from system to system to system. And that makes trying to commit to a very long, lengthy procedural adventure, kind of a challenge. But it's kind of ironic because the super short adventures don't really hold my attention either, you know. And I feel like for me, like where's the middle length stuff? Like that's what I need, you know. I
Okay,
need, like,
Derek, we need to make we need to make a
10 to
product
20.
especially for you,
Yes,
Derek.
yeah.
And here's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long adventure, equally long to this, but each chapter it's going to change what system it's written.
That's what I was.
It's going to be like, okay, now we have to do a heist. We restatted all the PCs who were pre-generated for Blades in the Dark.
Yeah.
Okay, in the next chapter, it's going to be a little more cinematic with spotlight sharing. So we've gone into Daggerheart.
Derek,
we've never done it.
I added you to that contest at GaryCon. That's what you were going to be doing.
I know.
You were going to be playing first, second, third, fourth, and fifth edition all in one setting.
We've never done it, but we've joked before about, you know, because one of the things we do at Knights of Last Call is we focus and spotlight a lot of different game systems, and we've talked before about either doing like the same adventure, like a short little adventure, and running it, you know, 15 times, but doing it with a different system each time to sort of show how different systems work, or running one big adventure and then just every couple of weeks changing the system completely, but keeping like the plot and the characters
right. That's what I'm talking about.
And it's like, oh, it's the same. It's, you know, it's Targas the warrior, but now it's, you know, instead of being a 5e fighter, you know, now he's a you know, a Daggerheart guardian or whatever, you know, and right. I always thought that would be kind of
like
cool
the
thing.
Video game Evoland that keeps changing like what video game it is, but for tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible. Why don't you do wait? You know how you do it? GURPS. So you get GURPS. You get one character, and then you can just go through every week. It's a different setting. Every week it's a new GURPS. I bet you if I said that Knights of Last Call, boy, you would get thousands of dollars for people to see you play that. I would think.
To change up the GURPS?
Yeah, change up the GURPS world every week.
Okay, I am a nerd and I like my detailed games, but even GURPS is way too far for me. You know, with the rules, it's way too much.
Which hand you're holding with what, and what figure you're pulling the trigger with? Yeah.
Correct. There's rules in here for like momentum. So if you're like running and you want to stop moving, you have to figure out how much momentum you have, and you know, yeah. Anyways,
man, can you imagine?
Some people in chat have apparently done the thing we were just talking about, Derek.
You see?
Well, you know what? Respect to them in chat.
They did Beam Saber to Kingdom to Songs for the Dust to Girl by Moonlight, for example. One of them did.
There you go.
All one campaign, just the characters being switched over.
You could do Starfinder and Pathfinder pretty easily.
Yeah, but that's almost the same system.
That's
that's much less.
That's like GURPS.
But you know, I mean, again,
not really.
I wonder, you know, and especially from you guys, because it sounds like you're very engaged with your community, which I really respect. So obviously, you have people who are, you know, committed and play these things through. But you also
I'll tell you about it in a moment.
But you must also have feedback on where do people or why do people exit? You know, why did they not finish, or you know what happened?
It's usually it's usually the same thing. Yeah, it's just too long. Well, they don't come online and say, "Hey, I quit." You know, it's not like a drug that they're proud of quitting. But sometimes we hear them saying, "Yeah, this is fine, but I had to put this down. It was just too long." And we know that. That's how we started our conversation. It's big, it's long, it takes dedication, it requires focus and time, but it brings you that extra feeling of getting immersed in a world where, you know, wherever you go, you find new stuff and it's still the same place. And about dedication, I just want to bring this up. I just saw like last week, we always have these crazy posts, I guess you guys also do, from the community. And one that we had in Crown of the Oathbreaker, we came up with a Gibbering Mouther dungeon where you go inside this huge Gibbering Mouther, which consumed basilisks and harpies and had different mouth and different eyes that had different effects and whatnot. And the guy built it from, I don't even know what he built it from for miniatures, but he used real
clay, I think. It's
clay?
Like a clay model, yeah, but it's like table size, you know,
huge for minis, right?
Yeah.
And there's this staircase of a tongue which we put on the map, which has these teeth next to it, like railing or something. But it's like a huge tongue that you climb up onto the second level, and these are real teeth. And I'm like, dude, where did you get like 30 teeth for the railing? And he was like, oh, it's resin for dentist.
Oh, it's
practice.
resin.
And we were like, oh my god, he pulled like 30 teeth. Where? Is it like?
I mean, I'm still impressed
a
that they went that
gravedigger, or
far.
what is
Yeah,
it?
I'm still impressed that they went that far to get, dental resin practice teeth or whatever.
Yeah,
like that.
no, I mean it's amazing. Go on Discord and check it out. It's
Well,
amazing. But people can go at length.
People will go through. So I would DM at Gen Con the specials. So Paizo would run specials at Gen Con, and it was a special tournament, not tournament, but it was a special adventure where everyone was running the same adventure at different levels in one room. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tables.
And it was meant to be one large adventure where the tables were interacting with each other and all achieving the same goal
and
together.
I would see people, like I would bring full color maps. Okay, there's people were pretty impressed with that. I mean, this is like 15 years ago when color printing was still like in its infancy, and I had like color laser writers, so people were like, ooh, that's so nice, And I would see people bringing like, their computers.
Color printing was in its infancy in 2011. Really?
What's that?
Color printing was in its infancy in 2011.
People wouldn't bring, how big
that.
Okay. You want to tell the story, Mark? You want to interrupt me?
No, I agree with Mark, though. The color printing was well established in 20.
In big size, it wasn't. I mean, you couldn't print big maps at home. So
Okay. Well, people were impressed. Whatever
carry
you want
on,
to be.
Steven, carry on. Please.
The point is that now I don't even care anymore.
I'm really interested in the
we defeated him. Good. All right.
He was going to say that even compared to that, some people built these like outrageously detailed. I've also done the special outrageously detailed like models of all of the locations that were 3D and had all of the little pieces and things in it.
Yes. And actually, that's not what impressed me. Is that, and then they would take them and throw them out. No, what impressed me was that there's one or two people who would bring a big screen TV, a flat screen, like a 50-inch, and wheel it onto the table, with their laptop, which they brought from home, and then they would use a VTT to show. And I'm like, why? I mean, it's like you never underestimate the commitment of nerds. Because I was like, like a mini miniature model. Okay, I can understand that, but I almost felt that was too much. I almost felt like going through the trouble of bringing a computer and then bringing a 50-inch flat screen and then bringing all the components. I mean, this is something Derek would do, by the way, because Derek does crap like that all the time. But still,
true.
It was like back again 15 years ago. Nowadays, I don't even think it would be that big a deal. But back then, this was still in the infancy, and no one was doing that. Like it was actually a big deal when someone had a laptop or a PDF, an iPad with them or something digital. Of course, now like when I GM, literally every person has an iPad. Like no one has paper character sheets anymore. Like
disgusting.
It is actually. Yeah. It is kind of disgusting. I actually don't like it.
Heresy.
Well, because they're all sitting there like this is them. It's like they're all like this the whole time. Like all they're doing is looking at their iPads.
I hate it so much. It reminds me of like I was at a restaurant with my buddy the other day, and I looked over and there's a family, right? Like a mom, a dad, maybe an uncle, whatever, a couple kids, cousins.
Okay, tread carefully.
And not a single.
We both have little children, and there is a purpose to it that you can't understand until you have children, right?
I understand, but every single kid was yes on an iPad, right? And
you want to eat, right? That's why you're in a restaurant. You want to eat and not
but
your kids.
But what did kids used to do? We didn't have an iPad, I'm just saying, like
used to cause ruckuses.
No, I used to play. You know what I had?
Knock off everything.
No, I had travel. I had travel Scrabble, and I would play travel Scrabble with my mom or something. That's what I used to do.
Okay, that's for different.
I would try to bring books or something like that and be told, don't read your book. You're supposed to be at the table.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, it depends on the age. I mean, I'm talking 3 to 5.
Well, 3 to 5.
Toddler people.
Well, toddlers, it's a godsend. Toddlers, it is a godsend to have. I didn't know my kids were, Robin's graduating from college next week, so my kids are very old now. But,
lucky you.
Yeah, lucky me. Well, it was funny because you were saying, "Oh, I can't wait till you're older and you can play." We used to joke, me and my friends, and these are the same friends that we used to play like, literally all weekend. Like, oh, I can't wait till we're in the retirement home and we can play all day. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
We are actually almost in that retirement home, but they are too busy. They're too busy. Like, I was like, oh, let's play. They're like, I'm too busy. I'm like, how are you? Like, I'm like, what days can you play? It's like, we can play Monday nights. That's it. I'm like, any other night? It's like, no, because on Tuesday I got this. On a Wednesday I got my poker night, and on Thursday I do this. And I'm like, every day is booked. So much
that's preference. I mean, they could switch poker for a good game.
No,
so.
they can't. No,
listen. To quote Jean-Luc Picard from to quote Captain Kirk from Star Trek Generations, he says, when did Sulu find time for a family? He says, when something's important, you make the time. So it's not that they don't have enough time. It's that they are choosing to prioritize differently.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, for them, they'd rather, poker game I get, because poker, it's very hard to move a poker game, because once you get going, it's like a D&D game.
I mean, it's like a D&D game.
Yeah, it's very similar. So, but they all have these things like that. And so we can't play. So it's like, so much for that. So much for going to retirement home and playing all day. That was a nice stream. So that's why I got to end up playing with Derek, because I got no one else to play with.
Thanks.
I'm sure that makes him feel great.
I feel just fine.
Derek, your last place after literally anyone else that he could find.
Right. Everyone else in my life abandoned me. I guess I choose you.
That's
right.
pretty much. Well, you chose me because I signed up for the game, and you're like, yeah, bring Steve along.
So I want to ask you, what other long format, like really long format? You just showed around one, Derek, a moment ago. What long format games do you guys know or have played?
For me, I've never been a huge adventure path guy. I know you mentioned Savage Tide. Like, I played Shackled City, the original one from Dungeon, and I did Rise of the Rune Lords, the first one from the other first one from Paizo. But most of my long form campaigns have been in the form of mega dungeons, things like Rapanathuk from Necromancer Games, or Dwemer Mount, or Dragon's Delve. So for me, I mostly prefer just.
You said Dragon Mountain?
A Dragon's Delve. It was
okay. Sorry.
But like that kind of stuff. Where it's classic Gygaxian. 30 level,
room after room
after room after room after room after room.
But that's different. Yeah, that's different. That one I would
minimal plot.
Yeah. The Dungeons of the Mad Mage. We played it to an extent, and all my players were like, "Can we just stop doing this?" Do you remember, Tommy? We were like,
"Yeah, but I played a wizard. I played a wizard who had a lore master who had legend lore, and I cast legend lore at the beginning of every level." To know about the level,
yeah.
And we could skip that one. It's not that interesting.
I respect that. Just using your abilities to get things done. I think that's great. But yeah, it's not for everybody. But for me, I much rather. My style of play is very much more of like where I like to be able to zig and zag and not feel like I'm trying to hit certain story beats at certain points at certain times. That's, for me. So even like growing up, I mostly just played, modules that really weren't connected to anything. It was like, oh, cool, there was an adventure, at the store, and I bought it, or I found some old, B5 or, B9 or whatever from at the half price bookstore, and we played it, and it didn't really tie into anything that came before. So it was very serialized, right? Like the old TV shows where it's like the only thing that carries through from adventure to adventure is kind of the protagonists, and that's kind of the way that I've always kind of played D&D.
Growing up, I played more like it sounds like you guys did, where it was homebrew, just really long campaigns, but that we were making up ourselves. I don't think we played almost any published adventures until I got older. People didn't have as much time. It also was a way to entice people other than me to run by using published adventures. And at that point, it was mostly Paizo adventure paths.
Yeah,
we played all the adventure paths, I think.
Oh, really? Yeah, I played
every single one of them.
I played a lot of them. We didn't complete a lot of them, because a lot of them we were, after a while, the worst one, the one we hated the most was Kingmaker. We bowed out of that quick.
Our group loved Kingmaker.
We loved Kingmaker.
Linda added so much extra content to Kingmaker. It was
we don't
outrageous.
We like the railroad. We like the linear path. Like, our guys like that. They like a story. And Kingmaker was too disjointed, and they felt like it was just, they didn't feel it was, it just was a little too disjointed. And I get it. I understand what they were going at, but we felt like, well, we can go play, and we were heavy into World of Warcraft when this was out. And I was like, we can just go play World of Warcraft. We don't have to play Kingmaker. You know, it's like we were all in the same group and we're all playing both. So we're like, we'd rather play World of Warcraft. Let's play, like, so we play more linear adventure paths, but my Age of Worms is our favorite one.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
that was the second one, right?
Second one, yeah, that was the second one.
Yeah, it was Shackled City, Age of Worms, and Savage Tide were the three from Dungeon Magazine.
I'm not gonna lie, I think those three are still the best. Like, I mean, for me, I think that they just knocked it out of the park with those three.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's get Eric Moan on. We could talk about it. It's, I mean, yeah. Well, Shackled City was, and even Eric is, I've spoken to him about this many times in the past. It's like, it was too much, and it was like, it was a little too much because they.
But that sounds like not for these guys. They like, there wasn't enough.
Originally, it was supposed to be 20 adventures. It was going to be one adventure per level, and that's why it was so big. And it was a little samey, but then it got down to 12. So, you know, it didn't quite do what he wanted to do. But that's why I think Age of Worms is much better, because they got the formula down. And then Savage Tide is okay. I feel it's like too much.
Savage Tide is the best.
You know, I've heard a lot of good things about Savage Tide.
That's the top of the top for me.
It's not a very resilient campaign.
It's also
David
a lot
Perry
of the
in
same
a super
stuff.
chat said, for long plays, I have a plan as a GM that don't survive contact with players. And I'm just really going to agree with them on that, because I was playing a Savage Tide campaign for a very short time, because my character, just based on things in the player's guide, wound up having connections to certain NPCs, and I wound up using them to create a plan to pull this one NPC who's the brother of your patron into a locked vault that could not be escaped based on the rules of how the first adventure worked, to get the item that he really wanted. And I was like, I'm going to betray our patron and give it to you. But it was a setup that the other PCs were in. And the GM was like, okay, there's no reason that they would not do this. This is exactly what they want. Your bluff was successful. But also, if this guy does that and gets killed, the entire campaign is done. So, and then he just stopped the campaign.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I felt like Shackled City was too big. Savage Tide was almost too linear, and then Age of Worms was right in the middle. Like, it was right in the middle. Age of Worms.
In my headcanon, my character prevented the Savage Tide by
there you go. You won
accidentally. He didn't even realize
there
how
you go.
important
You won in the first.
Was.
Yeah, you cut to the end.
I guess. I like, he didn't know this guy was important and was going to do a Savage Tide. He was just like, well, we need to protect this patron, and by doing this scheme, we can get rid of this guy who is trying to kill her.
My chat ninja's not working, but we did have a super chat, which was
I used it. I not only did I say the super chat, I tied it into my thing that I was going to say, because I really agreed with him about long adventures that always go off the rails.
Well, that's actually why I think you have to have buy-in, because my guys, like, I don't know.
But we were bought in. I wasn't saying
except for you who decided to break it.
We all were bought in. We were hired by this lady to get her inheritance. And what we tried to do was get her her inheritance by getting rid of this guy. We did not. Nobody in the group knew that getting rid of this guy was going to break the.
Well, it sounds like a bad GM. Then he shouldn't have allowed that. He should have had the guy say, oh, you captured my secret body double, and then you find out nothing, and the guy's like, hey man, they just pay me to do this, you know. You see,
Stephen, that is a very, very good theory. Unfortunately, because of the rules of how that vault works in Savage Tide, and Savage Tide players will know this, you need the blood of somebody who is from the family to open the vault.
I'm his twin brother. I don't know what's going on. I got the blood, but he was using me.
So
you didn't want me. You want my brother. And then you find out they're triplets. So if you do it again, you get the wrong one.
He adds in a triplet. that could have done it, Steven. That would have broken. The deadlock.
That's a bad GM. I figured that out so quick.
We have triplets in Crown the Oathbreaker, and you don't realize it.
That's the oldest trick in the book. That's the oldest.
Actually, I wanted to tell you about my other favorite type, a bit drifting away from fantasy, was these Call of Cthulhu campaigns, the large ones, like Horror on the Orient Express, the box set. Oh my god.
Really? Everyone loves that one, and you either love it or beyond hate it. I know a lot of people who criticize it. I've never played
always
it.
Somebody hating, ice cream. I mean, how can you? There's always one stupid person hating ice cream.
Well, they said I saw this recently. I saw someone complaining or doing a criticism of it. Basically, well, A, it's literally on a railroad, and B, I don't know, it was very easy to break somehow, or like I don't know, it was something about. But that's a very
break anything if you want to. So
yeah, it's true.
Well, I think we have to talk about ice cream. Why does everyone like chocolate ice cream so much? You could eat chocolate, which is really tasty, or you could eat ice cream that isn't chocolate. But why do people like to eat chocolate ice cream?
I don't know, but what I'm most surprised about is that my son, being 7, he doesn't like chocolate ice cream.
I don't like chocolate ice cream.
What's wrong with you, boy?
I don't like chocolate at all.
You see, I know a lot of people who don't like chocolate. I prefer vanilla over chocolate.
That is nothing unusual. Somebody said something that was pretty good and not completely inane about ice cream.
Call of Cthulhu?
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu. I mean, some of those people even combine them. Like, they'll go from Masks of Nyarlathotep or whatever to into Horror of the Orient Express, into the Mountains of Madness, and they're like, oh yeah, we've been running this campaign for about 15 20 years. No, what I was going to ask is, do you think that the pace or the expectation or the length or the time of an adventure, and I mean like the whole thing, even if it's a multi-stage campaign, is correlated or tied to the fact that, say, D&D, which is predominantly what your guys' adventures are for, is 20 levels? Like, if you were designing an adventure for a D&D game that was only 10 levels long, like not like we're only going 1 to 10 instead of 1 to 20. If D&D only went to 10,
this is like 3 levels. 4 levels. This whole book.
It is.
Yeah.
That's an epic level and high level one.
That's it.
Okay.
It's 16 to 20.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well then, goddamn.
What's the question?
That's what I was going to say. I was like,
I would like to answer to your question. Maybe I didn't really get it well, but I think the pace of every game depends on the players and how they want to play it, right? So if you want to express how you keep the fork in one hand and express yourself with the other hand, and if you go into details of role playing and whatnot, you can extend any level, any game, and there's probably a nice balance between going super long with these and too short or skipping RP altogether. But you can each group probably finds their own best pace and then plays through these games how they like. I mean, I hate the speed runs. I'm always making excuses for the players, and I'm sorry, I know we could play this out, but this is a speed run. We're play testing. We can't sit here for 2.5 hours playing a 600-page book. But also there's probably another side of this where you just play for too long with the RPG and get carried away.
Well, yeah, actually, I think that happens. I don't know. Like, we played Agents of Edgewatch, and that was a campaign levels 1 to 20. And I think this always happens. It's always book 5. It's like book 1 through 4, but usually 4, in my opinion. Whenever I've done these, 4 is always the best one, usually. And 5 is always the drag. Like 5 is
often a black sheep adventure for a few reasons. Sometimes it's just a random mega dungeon that comes out of nowhere. Sometimes it's in a weird demi-plane, or it's often like less related to the plot than almost anything else. And it's
actually our fifth book's gonna be on the demi-plane in the mega dungeon.
There you go. Oh, there you go. You see?
The fives are often that, especially in the 1 to 6s.
Why is that, Mark?
That is so funny.
I think it's
Mark
just
reads
part
our
of
thoughts.
I had no idea that was going to be your 5th book, but I think it's just part of the natural escalation of books, in the same way that if you are someone who understands cinema, you can tell like how a trilogy of movies is going to go. I can tell you how a series of adventures is going to go. And the answer is that when you get to the 5th book, it's more likely to be a mega dungeon in a demi-plane than or some other weird plane than you expect it to be. Especially since you guys said you played every adventure path. You also may have had part of your brain wired by playing the 8 or 9 adventure paths that all went into a mega dungeon in a demi-plane on book 5.
I'm thinking about that. You were very right, Mark. I'm literally going through them in my head. There's so many. And not only that, I usually end up...
So Rise of the Rune Lords, book 5. You go to Runeforge, which is a random mega dungeon in demi-plane.
Well, I'm thinking of...
Curse of the Crimson Throne, book 5. There's a giant castle, Zon-Kudan dungeon, the demi-plane. It's not even in the city that you're trying to protect.
Yeah, Savage Tide goes into the abyss. Yeah.
No, they all do that. They all go into. Well, it makes sense. Because the monsters at that level are so high level that you need
Legacy of Fire. You go into the City of Brass and then the demi-plane dungeon in the city of.
Yeah, you got to go somewhere where you're fighting level 20 monsters, or like, and it's hard to put all these monsters in the same location. That's not either a demi-plane or
Torrance has no demi-planes, and we've got a very, very high level 16 to 20 adventure. And it's just sailing the high seas.
Well,
Boss asked if random mega dungeons in a demi-plane is a break glass in case of emergency type thing. I think it's more of like a bottle episode type thing, where it's just like, okay, well, the next thing we're going to do is this. It's almost like how a bottle episode is self-contained in a TV series. A demi-plane is self-contained. You can kind of just throw it in there. You've probably, in book 4, if you're in a 6th book schema, you've kind of revealed what the big thing is. But you don't want the PCs like going directly to the big thing yet. So you have some random demi-plane mega dungeon. You might get a MacGuffin in there or something to power you up. But it sort of like throws them off so that then the 6th book can be the finale and the climax.
Actually, I think it's a combination that everyone saves their best stuff for the end. So everyone saves like the really big things for the 6th book. And then the 4th book is usually a big reveal. So they're like the 5th book is like literally the black sheep. You're like, crap, we got a bridge. I have read so many adventure paths where I literally can smell and feel the 5th book is nothing but filler. And I'm like, just skip it. It's like, there's so many adventure paths where you could just skip the 5th book and you would lose literally nothing. And you could just say, okay, you're like, whatever, level 17, ta-da, you're level 19, let's go to book 6. Like, that's it. Like, there's no point in book 5. I've read that so many times. We actually did that on, not Tyrant's Grasp. What was the one before Tyrant? The horror one? Crimson Crown, was that it?
No. Are you talking about Strange Aeons?
No. The horror one.
That was the one that was way back.
Way back.
Carry-On Crown.
No,
that was not even close to Tyrant's Grasp.
It's not Carry-On Crown. It's Crimson Crown.
Carry-On Crown is the horror one.
Yeah,
that was way back.
Yeah, that's the one I did. Crimson Crown.
Yeah, you just said Crimson Crown, and then when I said Carry-On Crown, you said
you're combining Carry-On Crown with Curse of the Crimson Throne.
Yes, you probably are.
Whatever. That one, the 5th adventure that's like the vampire one. Terrible. I literally was like, it was like, wow, they're just doing everything they can to get the XP up. And they were just throwing, it was a mega dungeon of just fight this. Are you 19th level yet? No, keep fighting. Okay, you're 19th level. Let's get to the end. And I was like, oh, this is like, I think we skipped it when I played that. I just like went past it because it was like such a filler. Anyhow, so guys, be careful with your 5th book. Don't do that.
It's the last one. It's the last one.
So it's the last one.
It's the last one, and it's gonna be great. And it's not a demi-plane; it's gonna be the abyss, and it's gonna be a ziggurat city that you need to explore. So it's not that typical of a mega dungeon, and we'll have little dungeons within the Cigarette City. So it's a bit different.
What are you going to do when you're done? Then what? Then you're going to start over?
Well, no. We're gonna go on that cruise ship I mentioned. No, we actually launched Mindscape one shots just because we felt that these are too heavy.
You see, so even you're falling for it. You're falling for it too. You're like,
actually,
for different
systems and for different systems as well. So and Daggerheart as well.
And Daggerheart, and we did this because we felt that it just feels easier for us to write these one shots, and that we can jump around much freer than being stuck into a 600-page book that we write for a year. And also, of course, because the audience, we wanted to open up to different type of audience. Of course, I mean, the very niche, big, long format books are just not for everyone. We felt,
but let's there's a big caveat here that these one shots are about 25-30 pagers. So they're not the super short one shots, which is just like an idea and go with it. But they're fleshed out, very nice, very unique each one. So we try.
What about these? The literally
no.
One
yeah,
pagers.
they're not like
they sound like they're like a little longer.
No, are
than
you gonna ever do? You want to do these because we're doing the Deathbringer, and Professor will not let me do any adventures larger than this. No adventures can be larger than this. This is the biggest one you're allowed to make.
I can do that one on the toilet. Actually, these are 25-30 page, very detailed, the same level of detail that we put into the 600, 500, 900 page books, but very small scale and just a very concentrated scenario of one story.
And they're probably as actually I suggest everyone to check out the Everything is Content video on Critical Role. And Matt had an interesting thought that these are not really one shots, they're 3 shots, so this kind of 6 hour length one shots, which usually take, a group 2-3 sessions to play. So that's what we were shooting for.
Yeah.
Wow. Carrying Quran was from 2011. I guess I am old. Because I was like, I just played that, Mark.
I tried to warn you. It was a long time before Tyrant's Grasp.
Well, I played it on a VTT, so I was thinking, how long ago could it be? But I guess.
Yeah, you were just in a VTT. That was like the D20 Pro era.
It was D20 Pro. Yeah, I was using D20 Pro. I mean, I guess I've been using VTTs for 17, 18 years now. Jeez.
Most likely, yeah. But I mean, we have our 3-shot adventure, Release the Kraken. Although it's a lot more than 25 to 30 pages, and it sometimes takes people 4 shots to complete it.
Well, that's like
how long is that?
It's like
it's
100 pages.
Well, it's 100 with stuff, but it's like 80 page adventure. But using our tiny font.
yeah, that's what I wanted to ask.
Using our itty bitty font.
It's basically one full level of experience.
At least, yeah. I mean, it could be more. I mean, the thing is, though,
no, it's basically one full level.
It could be.
It
more.
might be a little bit more.
Oh, there we go. That's more. Whether it's a little bit more or a lot more, it's more is more. So you heard it here. That Mark agreed. So
yeah, if you do all the optional stuff, it's going to be more than if you don't.
Well, that's part of the adventure. It still took up pages. I didn't print a 60-page adventure because then I would take out the optional stuff.
That's true. Or not have added it, I guess.
There you go. There you go.
But the snail races are peak, even though they were just like randomly added at the end.
You can't have giant snails on an island. Well, there's an island with giant snails, and you never interact with them. And then I wrote Mark, and I said, Mark, where's the snail race?
You did interact with them, but you never raced them. And
yeah,
now
but
you do, which is even better.
I was like, Mark, we got to put in a giant snail race because that's like the coolest thing ever.
The other interactions you have are just kind of meeting them and then helping them during a crisis or other things like that. But if you race them, that's much cooler.
Yes.
Another... I was just looking at the thumbnail, or I was looking at the title of the stream. He said, "Where have all the massive D&D settings gone?" And I had this had it again. I'm not a 5e guy, right? I bought it, and I play tested it in 2013 and 2012 when it was D&D Next, and then it came out, and it just never really clicked into it too much. I was kind of like, oh, I already played this game. It was called 3rd edition, and it was called AD&D. But one of the things I noticed the other day, I was I don't remember why, but I was looking for a Forgotten Realm map of Faerun. And I found a bunch of people with maps, and they said, oh, I made a high-res map. And, of course, everything's been made in the last 5-10 years. And as I was looking, and what I was specifically looking for was an area of southeast, which is called the Vilhan Reach. And I was like looking, and I was like, all the maps that I found online of Forgotten Realms of Faerun were basically just like the far northwest corner. And it wasn't even like fan maps. It was like official maps. It was like it went as far east as like about like Cormyr, and it went as far south as maybe like Baldur's Gate, basically, or Candlekeep. Anyways, and I was realizing, I was like, man, the scope of even something like the Forgotten Realms. I remember they used to do box sets for each of these different areas. It was like the Shining South, the Unapproachable East, whatever. And now even the settings are much smaller in scope from Wizards of the Coast. They do a setting like they did that one book for Spelljammer. They did that one book for Dragonlance, which was really more half of an adventure anyways, or whatever. Yeah. And they call it good, and I get like we have this, the glut of 2nd edition and 500.
Yeah, they did a post-mortem. Like Lisa Stevens was part of running that post-mortem where they discovered that doing giant box sets with big settings and continuing all these lines just kind of split their market base and
but it was
destroyed them.
So awesome.
It was so awesome as a consumer of it to just pick and choose the boxes that I liked out of those and just like absorb all that information. I agree.
And so my question is anybody doing now? Obviously, Wizards of the Coast, with profit as the guiding principle for all things. Not saying that businesses shouldn't make profit, but but I get that they're not doing that. But what I was going to ask is, in the third party space, is anyone doing the setting side of things, or is it just adventures? But like, is it okay?
We are
before I tell you about this, I just wanted to summon this into our memory that there was once a Forgotten Realms Atlas software. I don't know
exactly what I was going to say. Exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, and I was spending trillion hours rolling the globe around, checking the little dungeons.
It was crazy. It was crazy. It was down to the dungeon level, and it was a interactive
world map,
like early 2000s, right?
Yeah, the whole Forgotten Realms was in there. So yeah, we're doing campaign settings, and we are actually building out a huge land, from town to town, forest to bridge, city, houses, whatnot. We've already built like 6 cities, I think, so far, and 3 complete regions. And now we're building the 4th, and then the 5th, and it's going to be 1 continent. And then if we have more power left and our ship for the cruise doesn't sail, then we will maybe do more continents and add more to this. But that's what we're doing, because campaign settings are, I think, the essence, the essence. I'm sorry, that's how you pronounce it in English, the essence. And that's where you put your story in. And once you have a good campaign setting, that basically narrows down your imagination, and then you can work with that more easily, because it gives you the main atmosphere that you cook with, and all the ingredients you can cook with.
It's tricky to do a campaign setting. It's risky because they sell the worst unless you have a sort of a built-in base or get lucky and a base emerges, who just all want to buy and add into that setting, because a setting is almost one of the things that people need the least amount of time. Like if you've got a new adventure, they need that when they finish their previous adventure. If you've got a new class, a new spell, they might need that for the new character, or a spell they might need at any time if they can just pick up a new spell. Well, and a new setting is something that some people are just like so kind of locked into their setting. They know the lore of it that they just want to keep playing in that setting, campaign after campaign after campaign.
Well, this is
So
like
pretty-
religion. We convert them to our setting.
Exactly.
But-
And
but-
once you
but-
have that, then a setting is a really good thing to do.
Powerful.
But in our case, we kind of bundle the two together, so the adventure takes place in the campaign setting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we come up with a new kingdom, and we place the new adventure in there.
Yeah, like we did that with Jewel of the Indigo Isles and the Indigo Isles World Guide, for example.
Yeah, well, we do that in all of our books. It's always a new region opening up, and you can get immersive with all the details in there.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they need. I don't know. It's like that. I was thinking what you were saying, Derek, but like everything was in that one region because that region caught on. You know, like
That region had video games.
it had video games.
Yeah.
It had-
Neverwinter was in a video game. Baldur's Gate was in
We
several
know.
video
We
games.
played all
Waterdeep
those.
was just always the most famous city
Yeah.
in
Right.
setting.
I mean, you know, they could have done it with Greyhawk, but for whatever, you know, they didn't. And you also had R.A. Salvatore writing about that area, and like that's what
Correct.
did it. It's like for better for worse. I think it was R.A. Salvatore. We wrote about that area.
He wrote
And then-
about Icewind Dale,
Right.
and that's what kind of pulled it up. So
And
it
then-
was super
right.
northwest.
Right, but that's
Well,
that's near Baldur's Gate.
No,
It's
it's
not
fairly,
that
it's kind
near.
of far away, but
It's very
you know
far
what?
from Baldur's
It
Gate.
is. It is
It's on the
it is-
same coast.
Yeah, it is on the Sword Coast. I'll say that.
It's all on the Sword Coast. That's close.
No, it's all.
That's like saying San Francisco isn't that close to LA. I'm like, it's close enough.
No, you're right. You're right. And ultimately, like the campaign setting, the only right. If I could be wrong, but the only campaign setting that I know of from for Forgotten Realms from 5th edition, right, is the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. Right.
Mhm. Correct.
Yeah.
So, because that's a very popular area. It had.
Yeah.
They don't
Which
need
is a
anything
shame
else.
because it was always the area I cared the least about. But
Yeah,
no, but
me
like
too.
but-
And there's so many colorful places. Like Halrua. We played.
Oh,
the whole
Halrua.
Oh yeah, Halrua is
We
awesome.
played the
Halrua
whole
is
campaign
awesome.
in Halrua, right?
Haura
Because
is
it has this
awesome.
Extra little
Rashomon is an interesting place.
Rashomon,
Rashomon, exactly.
The
Yeah,
only
and
place I
all
care
the
less about
eastern
than the
places.
Sword Coast is probably Cormyr.
Yeah,
I just-
Cormyr's pretty much generic
It's
fantasy
so
castle
generic.
place. Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry
pretty
to
generic.
say, even the Dale ends are quite boring for me. But
Yeah.
but
I
the
love my
stories-
favorite region is the Moon Sea. Just saying, but I
The
love
Moon
the
Sea
Moon
The
is
Moon
really
Sea
nice.
is pretty awesome
But the
too.
stories Ed Greenwood wrote there were really nice. But just for the flavor of it,
Yeah,
it's different. I mean, Halrua has such a great
Yeah.
flavor.
yeah, Haru is great, but
Even truth. So
yeah, but the artist Kimber or whatever his name is in the Ring of Winter. But what I was going to say is the thing that I liked about campaign settings. So I was reading something about the other day about like Magic the Gathering and like 3rd edition and like the rise of like build focused, and like one of the reasons I think that games like Magic the Gathering became so popular, and we always talk about this with like in the context of Pathfinder 2, where there are people who will play Pathfinder 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a week, but they spend 20 hours a week, in the character creation software, postulating builds and populating all these little feats. And, Magic the Gathering is a game that people might only play for a handful of hours a week, but they spend all week, fiddling with their deck and thinking about new cards. One of the things I loved about campaign settings was it gave you that ability to like play the game without actually playing the game. You talked about the Atlas and just like zooming in and getting learning about the Great Dale or learning about the Great Rift or Halrua or Rashomon and just being like, oh wow, this is such a cool area. And like it was a kind of a way to sort of engage with the hobby and not actually do it specifically during like the 3 or 4 or 5 hour game time. I think that's also a reason why like I think solo games have maybe sort of taken over that space a little bit, where people have this ability to sort of engage with it that way. But I've always been one of those people who really, I mean, I've got a copy right here, right? I've got my copy of the Silmarillion, right? Like I'm one of those people that just like loves digging into these imaginary worlds and sort of imagining future stories. And I just feel like that's something that I have sort of missed. I feel like the campaign setting now is it serves the master of the adventure rather than the other way around. But
nicely put.
Yeah, just an anecdote about that. with Gabi, we played every single Pathfinder adventure path in the Forgotten Realms. So every time we
you see, we didn't convert. We didn't convert.
Golarian. Fuck that. Yeah, no Golarian.
No, much respect, but we did not.
much respect. But for example, Kingmaker, we did it in Corm Orb area. It was a group of Xantharim, like evil party. Like a Xantharim, conquerors going and getting a kingdom that they had to conquer. Basically, and yeah.
Well, I mean, the Forgotten Realms, like Golarion, I think Galarian's a little bit more of a kitchen sink setting, but Forgotten Realms definitely has that kind of, here's the realm of evil city-states, and here's the realm of magical wizards and airships, and here's the realm of halflings, and here's the realm of savage nomadic horse people. And so I definitely think that it's probably fairly easy to convert between the two of them. Now, if you start doing something like Kryn or
Kryn would be hard, but
Kryn would be hard.
Greyhawk you could do pretty Shackled City's supposed to be in Greyhawk. My group ran it in the Forgotten Realms, and nothing changed pretty much. They just changed some of the deity identifications. Actually, the GM just decided to use deities from both settings whenever he felt like it. So we had a cleric of Lathander. We had my character who was like a heretical archivist who was like digging up dirt about Lathander and conspiracy theories. And that was just sort of a little fun part of the adventure. Although, as I've mentioned on this stream before, every conspiracy theory or random thing that I made up just to make my character seem ridiculous turned out to be correct in the adventure, except the one I did about Lathander was a known heresy that he was just the Netherese god Aminator trying to get better PR by renaming himself, until in 4E D&D they made that canon. And I had to when 4E came out, I had to contact my GM for Shackled City and be like, hey, remember how we had the one thing that was her core heretical conspiracy theory for Alkyone that was wrong? It turned out that's now correct too. And he's like, what the heck?
Yeah, awesome.
Well, all I did was
I love those worlds. I just love, I mean, I was definitely more of a Forgotten Realms. I loved Kryn. Obviously I love Middle Earth. I was never that big of an O-Earth guy. Like the Greyhawk setting, even though I'm classic traditionalist, I never really got super into O-Earth or any of that other stuff. But Forgotten Realms was just, man, that I got that box set in the early 90s, and I was just it had all the maps, and they just filled my whole table, and I would just pour over them
and then you can go underground, because we were
Menzoberranzan. Yep.
I'm super hooked on Drow and the whole Underdark theme and the whole taste of that stuff there, and they did, yeah. Oh, that's well used.
Yeah, wait, you got yours and I got mine.
Oh, is this well used? Yes, it's very well used.
Mine's in protective plastic. So.
Oh, mine is. We went to Menzoberranzan a lot.
You went to Menzoberranzan and took the box set with you, man.
Yeah.
Mine is.
Yeah. Oh, yours got destroyed in the fire. I mean, I loved R.A. Salvatore. I loved Dritz and all that other stuff. But I loved the Drow. I loved the Underdark. Yeah, it was
just cool. pretty funny that you had the whole world and then a negative of it downstairs, right in the basement, and then you could go down there and do that. And of course, the whole cosmology of the whole thing. I mean, it's such a shame that they have to focus, or they want to focus on just one section. So yeah.
Well, I think once bitten, twice shy. I think they're just so afraid of losing that focus like they used to have back in the day. Where even within one campaign setting, if suddenly they produce a Baldur's Gate supplement and you're like, well, I play in the Dale Lands, and you're like, oh, this isn't usually useful for me.
Derek, I know you guys are very, very well educated in the practices and why Wizards does what Wizards does, and I know you know more of this than I do probably, but I can say that if it is a bad or it's bad for business to be spread out so much and to expand the world so much, then all I can say is that they had enough bad business choices already. Maybe this would have not been the worst they could have done. So maybe they should reconsider, because I remember when I was a kid, I used to own all of these books, right? It was like literally a need for me to get unapproachabilities and this and that, because I wanted to learn more about the world. And maybe I'm niche in this respect, but I think that works both business and both world building wise. And it's really fun when you can just travel around, and that's what we're trying to establish.
That's cool.
So I think a lot of us on the stream are just like you, on that. But the business reason behind it is essentially, when you are as big as they are, you do not want to put out a product that is the niche product for like guys like us on the stream, that'll be like, yeah, this is something a few people will get if they want to do Halrua. If they're already in the Forgotten Realms and they want to do Halrua, they'll get this Halrua book. They're trying every time to put out a product that as many of their people as possible will buy. Because if they do put out a product that is well loved by Halrua fans, which let's say are 5% of their Forgotten Realms fans, which are themselves only some fragment of their base, it just won't sell enough to justify their expenditures, or compared to something else they could put out that would be like...
I'm not sure you're right about that. People get bored with regions. You could bring new fresh blood. This is a new region.
Well,
read all about it, play there, take your character there, have an airship, travel there.
Look, I love Halrua
about this.
I'm not saying they should put out 10 books. They're going to put out 10 books that are about Sword Coast either, to be clear. If they get bored of the region, that's okay. Because instead of putting out Halrua, they might put out a book that is about magic and airships in general that they want to sell to everybody. And then I'll have a few pages that'll be like, hey, in the Forgotten Realms setting, there's a place called Halrua that has these magical airships too. Like, that would be the business way to do it, is to try to sell it to everyone and then include the thing in, instead of trying to narrow it down. Now, I'm not saying that you're wrong, that they may have made some tactical errors in the past, like we all know about the OGL crisis. But it is true from... I've worked with, I've worked at Paizo before. I've worked with third parties. I'm in a third party right now. Third parties are much more able to put out that product that only some people are going to want, but those people are really going to like it. And that's actually why I love third parties, and why I love game systems that encourage third party participation, because I'm the guy like you who wants those niche products, and I want to read them, and I want to play them, and I want to use them. And third parties are the smarter ones to put it out. I was super grateful to TSR for doing it anyway back in the day, in my childhood, because I loved those books. Sell? They destroyed themselves to do it, but I liked it.
Didn't those sell?
No.
No. And their entire company basically went bankrupt, and they had to sell out to Wizards. And when they checked why, it was because of splitting around into all of those settings that each of us have one that we really liked. They just made too many, and they put themselves out too thin. And so that's why they moved on to books that, theoretically, anybody would buy a book called Complete Arcane that was just about arcane magic, because we all like arcane magic.
Yeah, but then isn't Magic the Gathering the same? I mean, you expand, you broaden it. It's I don't know. I don't want
Magic has its own ways around that, like by banning the old cards, so you have to kind of get into the new cards if you're in the scene that's playing the format.
It's a different scene. I'm just whatever. I miss those things. I miss Dark Sun as well.
What's happening with Dark Sun? That's what I was. Isn't that
nothing?
Nothing.
They will never.
There's some theories that they may be moving towards it based on some of the things that they've been doing.
I don't think
they're all wrong.
Anybody at Wizards is listening to this conversation, that you can give me a quote on how much for Dark Sun. We might get on an agreement. I would love to own the IP and do something with it, rather than let it rot in the basement of Wizards.
Yeah,
That will
yeah.
never
I think it's
happen.
just a poison pill for them. Unfortunately, there's just too much loaded baggage there for whatever
They
reason.
will
Plus,
never.
I just think that like the aesthetic of Wizards of the Coast now. I mean, let's forget any theoretical problematic, problems, right? With whatever, with the subject matter and the maturity. But I just think in general, like, it's weird. Like the aesthetic that they go for now is just so different. But I mean, I think that there was a lot of people saying there's going to be an old school thing, and I think we've kind of established what that's going to be, right? That's going to be the Melf's book with Luke Gygax and the Greyhawk stuff. I think that's going to be their sort of.
But I don't know who played Greyhawk.
Well, I know, I don't either.
Old school material.
Well, it's just like, I mean, I'm not trying to, whatever, but it's like, okay, Greyhawk, even to a certain extent, Kryn, which I love Dragonlance, but like Kryn, Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms, I mean, they're all kind of just generic ass fantasy, like Dark Sun, like no clerics, no paladins. And I think like that alone, I mean, yes, I know there's the elemental priests. People always correct me on that, but whatever. I think just the fact that like a setting comes out and says you can't be a certain class or you can't be a certain race, I think is like a problem from them from like a business marketing standpoint. Like it's just like, how are we supposed to sell? Like there's going to be some portion of our community that's going to be like, I can't believe I can't play a paladin.
No, the problem D&D has become McDonald's in a way. Is that they have to, it's hard for them to appease the masses without pissing someone off. So they have to sort of come out with stuff that helps, or, that everyone could appreciate or get something out of, which means you will never have a Dark Sun because Dark Sun is way too niche. But could they have someone else publish Dark Sun for them? And then they have the best of both worlds? Definitely. Like that's the way they go, is that they have third-party publishers create it with the blessing of WotC. So
like how Keith Baker kept putting out more Eberron stuff.
Yeah, but even better is that they bless it. Like not even that was like a sort of blessing because he put it out, but it was on.
Yeah, he did it himself, but it was on the platform.
Right, but this is like officially like, WotC's like, okay, we have Dark Sun, not by us, but by this company. And their opinions are their own. And, we don't have anything to do with those crazy things happening over there. But that is part of the official WotC canon. It's like, but they published it. So they get everything. They get their cake and eat it too. It's like they can endorse it. They can promote it. They can talk about it. But if anything is cringe, they're like, well, don't look at us. That's them.
But this is not happening what you're talking about right now, right? This is non-existent. Nobody's allowed to touch Dark
No comment
Sun
on that, but it might be happening.
It might be happening, all right.
But not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. But it wouldn't be just for Dark Sun, it would be for everything. I mean, that's the way they're going. I mean, they're going towards that model. They're going towards a more of a...
And again, is this like reserved for some chosen companies, or you think they're going to release this?
I mean, we've seen how they
part of the
started with
OGL.
D&D Beyond.
No, it's chosen.
With D&D
It would
Beyond,
not be.
they've started with the big companies first, but they're bringing people on the platform.
Yeah.
And that's
No,
getting things closer to collaboration.
It would be both. They're going to start with the bigs, and then they will. I mean, they already have. They already have started with some of the big companies. They started off that. Don't forget, Cobalt Press and other companies made all their adventures with 2014 D&D.
Yeah.
And then they brought them in-house, but they started doing everything out of house. So
they only had a very small team when 5e first launched, and they did do second party adventures.
Literally, they had one employee. That's how small they were at one point. So, and then they got a little bigger. So yeah, they, they'll keep their. But that's how But you know what? Like that's how most businesses work. Like big companies, like when I worked for Disney. And I did stuff for Timon and Pumbaa and like some of their big, third party stuff. I mean, Timon and Pumbaa is one of their biggest ones ever. That's like Lion King. And they would I would work on stuff for them. They'd approve it and they put it out. So they don't have to do everything. And you wouldn't know it was from me. It had the Disney logo and brand, but they didn't put out everything. And that's the same way TV networks work. Like TV shows aren't made by the networks. They're made by third-party companies that make the TV shows that then sell them to networks. And then those networks, if they like the show, buy them, and then they split profits with them. You know, that's how most big industries work, because no one can take all the risk. And right now, the way D&D is set up is they take all the risk and all the reward. And you have things like Baldur's Gate, where they took no risk, but they got a very, 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 very tiny piece of the reward. They only got like a very small percentage of those sales. Or they could have done the whole thing 100% in-house, but then you get things like the latest, the latest video
Sigil.
games. What's that? What?
You get Project Sigil.
Yeah, like Project Sigil, right? Like Project Sigil, where they did everything in-house and they lost millions. So, it's like, so they're trying to, you have to do the balance, and the balance is second party, third party approved products where they, and video game companies do this as well. It's like where you have people they trust that they work with, and that they will get a large percentage of the sales instead of them getting like 5%, they might get 10, 20, 30, 40%. But the other company gets the blessing of the parent company. They can work with them, and then they also promote the crap out of it. So everyone wins. And that's how most companies work. So, why it took them
that's
so
how
long
you're going
to
to
do
see more niche products getting made, because the big company cannot afford to risk putting out something that's only for a small number of people.
Yeah, they just can't. So, and that's how you'll get all these other materials. Right now they're not doing that. Now they're letting people like us put out materials in their world. But the next step would be that they allow people to do it in their world with their blessing, and then they get a piece of it. So, that's why they do it. Right now they don't get a piece of anything we do. But if they said, oh, we'll let you do Dark Sun, but we get X amount of the sales, then I'll be like, okay, because you sort of get that, you get best of both worlds. So, and that's going to happen. I mean, they're moving towards that. So
yeah, so I call dubs on Haru and Dark Sun.
Is that what we're in the dibs calling?
Dibs calling and the auctioning part.
Yeah.
So what would you have, Derek? You would have what's that? The Everbright, or no? What was that one? The
Birthright. No,
Birthright.
I mean, no, Birthright
as well.
Birthright's. I'll tell you what I don't want. If they're talking about it in chat, is I do not want Ravenloft. I have zero interest
they're keeping
in Ravenloft.
That would
Derek,
never.
Derek won't be able to get Birthright, because the moment that they open that up to anyone else, I think maybe Matt Colville is going to take Birthright.
There you go.
No, you know what? I will gladly shepherd, the world of Kryn. So I will take that.
I'll take that. I would take Greyhawk, the city of Greyhawk. That's my favorite setting. I love the city of Greyhawk.
I'll take
that's
Planescape and Spelljammer, the weird ones that
I do
nobody
like
else has named
Spelljammer.
so far.
I like Spelljammer a lot, but
No,
I can just do Greyhawk.
We got to give Planescape to Jess. That's her baby.
That is true.
Nobody wants Mystara. Nobody wants Hollow Earth.
I don't dislike them. I didn't want to be greedy. I already asked for Planescape and Spelljammer, Derek. That's
World of Greyhawk, Castle Greyhawk. See, it's right here.
Red Steel. If that was one of them.
Well, I would take Drow. Anything Drow. I'll take.
Well,
me too. Yeah. We have to fight that.
We have to fight over the
in the pit of darkness with poison blades. Yeah.
So so here's the deal, Volcano. The thing is, technically, Al-Qadim is technically part of the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, in Zakara, which is to the south of where you usually see the map stop.
Right, Zakara, the land of fate, and Karatur also is technically to the far east of that as well. Yes, correct.
Yeah. And then we're never going to speak of Maztica again, because it's
Maztica,
it's so bad. It's like one of the most. It's one of the most offensive things that I've ever seen, and it just I don't know why they did it.
Why was it offensive? You could have played Savage Tide in Mastika.
Yeah, Mastika.
No,
wow.
Please, no.
Please, that's your worst nightmare.
Nobody. No. Actually, you know what? I also really love Eberron, but like,
Eberron's pretty cool.
Eberron is pretty cool. I forgot about Eberron. I do love it.
Actually, that's the move that I really admired past tense from Wizards of the Coast, that they put out this this competition, and they selected an idea, and I remember applying for that. I have no fucking idea what I applied with. It's just probably dumb, but the whole process and that's
the great designer search.
That was really fun, and they should keep that going.
Yeah. So what I think is really cool is they took open submissions, and then they bought the rights to 5 of them, and they had those 5 people write like more of like a deeper treatise, and they ended up buying. They paid money for them, so they owned them, and then they only ever printed Eberron. And I know that obviously it was by Keith Baker, and I know that like Rich Burlew, who has published some other stuff, and
from the Order of the Stick, he was in the final 5.
Yeah, he was one of the final 5s, and he has said that it kills him that they basically bought his thing. Now, that the rumor is that became the setting that was kind of the Nentir Vale from D&D 4th edition. But like, it kills me that there are these 4 other awesome settings that they bought the license to that they never actually printed. And it's kind of like, man, I wish they would like revert that to the license holders or the owners, so that they could actually publish.
But do you know what these were?
No, they can't say.
They wouldn't say. They only released the winner, which was Eberron.
Yeah, NDA stuff. Yeah.
Oh my god.
The last 4 rounds of the
exactly, the last 4. So, but no, Eberron was definitely not.
I'm organizing a haste now, so we gotta retrieve those 4 worlds.
There you go. Well, people keep sending like to these historians these binders of like weird information that had been lost to time, but unfortunately, none of those were from the right era to have the lost 4 worlds.
Well, all I know is. Well, they did try to make a few new ones. You have Theros, which is sort of new. I mean,
they were just from Magic the Gathering.
I know, but at least they made books out of them. I mean, they did something with them. People love that setting, by the way. That's actually considered one of the best books of all their 5e books.
Ixalan, is there one in Ixalan, the dinosaur one?
I don't know which ones they did for Magic. I know they did Ravnica, and I know they did Theros, but I don't know what else. They did Strixhaven as well, which is like the Harry Potter
Strixhaven one.
Yeah,
but I think they're. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. Well, what's after the Season of Terror? What's the next one? The
Season of Who Gives a Shit. That's what.
No, well, that's the next. That's the next.
I personally think the season thing is silly. I don't understand it, and I also I just don't understand that. You know what? I'll be honest with you.
Well, you're bad at business. I actually thought it was genius.
Yes, correct. You're right. Yeah, I thought it was terrible. You thought it was great. So
it helps. It works. It works for Magic, man. It worked. Well, we're talking old Magic. Like you break it up into seasons. You break it up into sections. You break it into and you feel like you're missing out. Like if you're not part of that season and playing during that time, then like you always have to buy the next thing and be part of it. I mean,
I think it's Season of Magic after Season of
Season of Magic is next, right? Season of Magic. I think they had to jerry rig a few things into these last 2 seasons because they were
Season of Magic where they just release Ravenloft or Curse of Strahd again, but it's like focused just on the magic. It's like every season just Curse of Strahd being re-released again and again and again. No, because it seems like that would be their best.
No, Season of Magic would be Spell of Strahd, not Curse of Strahd. Yeah, the curse isn't magical enough.
That would be good though. It's like, what is it? It's Strahd, then it's the Curse of Strahd, then the Dinosaurs of Strahd, and then the Space of Strahd. The Mystery of Strahd,
the Spellbook of Strahd.
Right, it's like just every season is another Strahd season.
Right, like the joke was for a while there with Magic was like there was sets that would come out and wouldn't sell, and so then it would be like, okay, it's time to do the return to Ravnica.
Yeah, that was the best though. Whenever they did it was so interesting. It was like. You joke, but when they went back, it was exciting. I remember playing that set. I was like, oh, can't wait.
Well, that's the problem, right? Is that people, it's like why people go, oh, why are they rebooting Spider-Man or Batman for the 35th time? It's like, because when they give you something new, people go,
Because people don't know what they want.
No, that's because people suck. That's the problem.
No, because people say what they want, but then they never follow through because that's there's trillions and trillions of marketing studies of like,
no, I know,
what
but that's
they
like the
say and
Steve
then what they
Jobs
do.
philosophy, right? The Steve Jobs philosophy is basically like ignore what the customer says they want and give them what that they need or something, whatever it is.
Well,
So
but
if we're
he
gonna
also
go
had
with
a
this
monopoly.
theme, I have some season ideas for them. They can have the season of bards with the verse of Strahd, and the season of vehicles with the hearse of Strahd.
Hearse of Strahd is pretty good.
I know.
Although, wait, if we're keeping it with hearse, instead of the season of song, it should be the dirge of Strahd.
Oh, okay. But I was saying the verse of Strahd for the.
Right, but I'm
it
saying
could be the dirge. You're right. Or it could be the dirge or the threnody of Strahd.
There you go.
Well,
I wanted to bring up a very old one because we were talking about settings. I just had to look it up because I hardly remember. Grey Mouser and Fard.
Lankmar.
Lankmar. Yeah.
Lankmar, yeah.
Lankmar setting.
Yes. Fraud and the
Fraud.
Yes. By Fritz Leiber. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cool. Like it wasn't ever like a full campaign setting, right? But it was like 5 or 6 products. There was a bunch of stuff that was like kind of micro stuff, like I said, the Red Steel was one. Jakandor was another one. There was a bunch that just got a couple of settings and stuff like that. But,
someone in chat said Strahd would not condone capitalism, so I've decided the season of capitalism has the purse of Strahd.
There you go. The season of capitalism. That'll be during the Christmas. That'll be during the Christmas holiday season.
There you go.
It
It would probably do great. It would do very, very well.
Yeah, Night Below is a great example of sort of like a kind of self-contained campaign setting. But I'll say the one thing that I miss more than anything is the box sets. I loved box sets, man. Those were like treasure troves.
Well, I had good news. Those are coming back, baby. Box sets.
Yeah, but I also saw you said that they're not even going to be able to print things in color anymore. So,
well, that is true. That is true.
What kind of box sets can we expect?
Well, the reason they do box sets is okay. It all comes down to business. So books. The problem with books is you sell them and only get about 35% on a book if you're lucky, and the bookstores can return them. But box sets, you can get 55, 60% on a box set. You could sell it to like Walmart and make more money, and they can't be returned. So, and they're categorized as games, so there's no tracking on them, so there's no public information on how they're sold. Books are publicly tracked, so you can actually see how they're sold. So you make more money, you can get into more stores. They're not tracked, and they can't be returned. So everything's turning into box sets. So that's why they're doing box sets.
Wizards is going to do box sets.
They already are. They already are.
For what?
For everything. I mean, everyone's doing box sets. Paizo's doing more box sets. I got a whole bunch here. Everyone's doing box sets. That's the way to go, man. Box sets. Because it's just way more money. It's way more money. It's easier to get into stores. People also, as I found out, I've done a lot of research on this, especially Gamma, people prefer box sets to books because it's easier to sell a $100 box set than a $50 book. And you can put your $50 book into the box with some knickknacks. No, seriously. Like,
and it's all soft cover inside. Right?
Yeah. I mean, people will not pay large. Like, there's a mental gap over paying a lot for a book. But for a box set.
We've had episodes about that before.
Yeah, to be clear, Cranky Smith, when I say box set, I mean like what Gabor was talking about, right? Like soft cover books, bits and boops.
That's all in there. Yeah.
Tokens. Like I don't want just like a slip cover.
But they're not. They put out the two box sets, the Stranger Things box set.
That's just a starter set. That doesn't even remotely fucking count.
No, that's not a starter set. Not the Stranger Things one.
It is. That's not a box set.
Was it in a box?
It doesn't matter. That's not a box set.
Yeah, well, guess what? The problem with yes, but the people who buy box sets, they're not made for you. You are going to buy the book. You're going to buy the VTT stuff for $199. You're even worse.
I'm not.
But people like you. Trust me, man. It's all going that way. We're only going to get box sets. They're all going to be, here's the future. Digest size box sets. Okay, everything's going digest size. That's the first thing. And VTT. Everything BTT. That's it. It's true. I mean, you know what? I can do another 10 episodes on
this. I will be holding on to my cardboard cutout Forgotten Realms deity card handouts. You know?
I know, and you're going to be the minority because you look at, I was just talking about this beforehand. If you look at, people say that they want this stuff like you are, Derek, but it's not true. Because if you look at all the best-selling books and products, they're all digital. All of them. Every single one. It's just the nature of things. Again, people say they want physical products, but it's just not true. And it's just, also, it takes 18 months.
Neon Odyssey begs to disagree. So
Steven, I think that the difference is this. People say they want physical products, and those people who said that they wanted physical products are telling the truth. They're not lying. Like, people are going to watch the video and in the comments, they're going to be like, well, I do want physical products. Steven is wrong. It's true that the people who say that want it, but people who want whatever is against the trend are always more likely to talk and say, wait a minute, I'm against the trend and I want this.
But they're not going to actually buy it.
They're going to be underrepresented in the actual populace.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they are telling the truth about themselves.
Yeah. No, well, when I worked with Blizzard, I worked very closely with the people who ran the community. And the community back then, if you remember, we're talking 20 years ago, 2004, 2005, the bulletin boards at blizzard.com were very active. And that's where everyone went. Everyone on the bulletin boards. Now, remember, back in the day, Blizzard, World of Warcraft had 12 million subscriptions at its height. There were not 12 million people on the boards. There was only a couple of hundred people who made the most racket and the most trouble that went against all the norms. And I remember being there, and the freaking moderators were pulling their hair out because they're like, these people are talking about stuff that nobody wants. And we have proof, but they won't shut up about it. And it drove them insane. And this is it's very common. It's that the people are happy with what's going on, and the people that are buying the things, they don't say anything. Like you said earlier in the conversation, it's like, you don't hear from people who quit your campaign. You'll hear from people who complete the campaign, but you never hear from the people who leave the campaign. It's the same thing. It's like, I was just saying beforehand, it's like, so Dungeon Crawl Carl, which sold 60 million copies in 1 year, no physical books. I mean, okay, now they're coming out with physical books. That is one of the best-selling books in history of the world. It's all digital. And it's self-published. A self-published digital book. And you look at Silo, which was done, actually it was called Wool, which is now, a series on Netflix. Sorry, on Apple TV. Wool, one of the best-selling books of all time. There's no physical books. I mean, now they have them. And I can go on and on. There's so many products that are digital only. And they did just fine being digital only. And unfortunately, people say they want physical, and you're right. People do want physical, but we're also old. And let me tell you, my kids and the kids that are in their 30s and the 40s, they don't want physical. In fact, they prefer having digital because they're used to it, and they have everything. Their lives are on their phones. And I know it's disgusting, and I know Derek's going to be like, oh, I hate that, but that's the truth. And that's the way the world is.
Even I just find the comment kids who are in their 30s and their 40s to be a very old man comment.
It is an old man comment. Well, because I'm thinking about it, because they're not kids anymore. Like, when we say, oh, kids, but they're now like Gen Y, Gen Z. They're turning 40. They're not kids, and they're very used to everything digital. So, and I'm thinking my kids that are in their, they're in their 20s, like they don't use anything physical. And I mean, like, they just don't. And none of their friends do. And even when they went to college, like every one of their books, like remember when we go to college and you'd have to buy your books and you would get them used and stuff?
I disagree.
Digital.
I disagree. I think the new generation, it's going to be like, the people who got into vinyl, you know what I mean? I think they're going to be like, I think there's going to be we're headed straight for a Butlerian jihad, right? These kids are going to grow up. They're not going to have any access to jobs because of AI. They're going to take part in the great Luddite overthrow. And they're going to
There is not going to be a Luddite overthrow because there's not going to be anyone to print these things anymore.
They're going to ban thinking machines, and everything's going to be written,
stone tablets.
And stone tablets.
Well, that might have to go to stone
It's
tablets.
not as extreme as what you're saying, Gary, but I've read that there are younger people who, despite what Steven is saying, are going in the opposite direction, specifically because they want to actually own something. And a lot of the digital stuff is just sort of renting it by paying a subscription fee.
You're 100% right, Mark. But those are the stories that you read about, but that's not reality. It's like you read about that. And quite frankly, I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, if you wanted to go out, here's an example. I'll give you an example. It's a Hollywood example. Say it's not a show unless I bring up a Hollywood example. Is that, look up the original Mad Max, okay? Mad Max 2015, it was done with practical effects. It's actually one of the last big movies with practical.
You just said 2015?
Yes,
I think
2015. The second to last one, not the very last one. The 2015 Mad Max Fury Road came out 2015.
So that's a very different than saying Mad Max, because Mad Max is the second one.
I'm talking about the 15. The 2015 Mad Max Fury Road was done with practical effects. And you see them like going back and forth, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, cut to now when they did the recent Mad Max just a few years ago, and it's all digital effects. And you know why? Because no one's allowed. They're not even allowed. Like, it's like, oh, can we go out and shoot? They're like, nope. The insurance companies don't allow it. Hollywood doesn't allow it. Like, you're not allowed. Like, the companies are not even allowed to make things, quote, the old way. And because of that, they don't even know how to do it anymore, by the way. So it's the same thing. It's like, people are like, oh, we need to do more printing, blah, blah, blah. It's disappearing. And then it's like, well, let's print things, or like, let's make old school, like physical products. It's like, well, we can't, because we literally don't have the technology anymore. And that is happening like more and more. So people might say they want books as much as they want, but more and more plants are closing. More and more printing shops are closing. I mean, you can get digital printing, which is garbage. But
all right, Steven. Well, if you're right and the demographics are just narrowing down so that only the oldest people want these books, then maybe we need the season of retirement with Tatiana, starring Tatiana as the nurse of Strahd, who tries to convince him that his castle has too many staircases. He needs to move into a one-story place that he can take care of himself more easily.
By the way, so BS, Andor was mostly shot on location. First of all, Andor was shot years ago before that all happened because of mostly COVID. Also, Andor cost $500 million and was one of the largest, if not the largest, loss of any TV show in the history of the world. So there you go. Never happening again. And they've said on record that they will never shoot a show like that ever again. And Fury Road actually does have a lot of CG, but those are what's called CGI assisted shots, where it's physical with assisted, as opposed to what they now use is called the volume. My brother shoots on that a lot. The volume is like what Mandalorian is shot on and stuff. And that's that dome of LCD screens where it looks like it basically, because it's in a dome, they can have things like reflective, like how the Mandalorian can have a reflective helmet. And when he's looking, you can actually see the reflections of the background because it's a dome and things like that. Anyhow, I could talk about this stuff forever. Long story short, it's all going digital. I wish it wasn't. Too bad. You can go into your corner with your Victrolas and your 8-track tapes and your, your mixers and whatever the hell you want from the 70s and 60s and 50s, but no one else is doing that. Sorry. I wish it was the other way, but it never will be. Progress, baby.
Yeah, but the question is we're getting off, we only have like 10 minutes left, but is it because that's what the audience and the consumer wants, or is it because it's more profitable and driven by bottom lines from corporations who basically say you're going to accept this or get fucked?
Oh, it's 100% that. But how many corporations are there? Like 3 or 4 in the whole world? I mean, they're all like mega corporations. How many movie studios are there? And the thing is, in the movie studios, they all use the same studios outside. Like, it's a combination that the movie studios all use the same places to shoot. The insurance companies will not insure any of these location shoots anymore, so they have no choice. They're like, oh, we want to shoot this outside Mad Max style with people on cars jumping all over the place. They're like, nope, no, we won't insure it. They're like, okay, I guess we're using the volume, and that's it. I mean, it's simple as that. It's like they're just not allowed. They don't have. No one is putting up the money to do it. So it's a combination.
So it's not about what the audience wants. It's about,
of course not,
money.
It always is about money. Yeah.
It's the Steve Jobs model.
It always is. It always is.
So Mark T sent a super chat that is basically corroborating you, Steven. It says, majority of people want digital. Books are collectibles now. You can't stop progress.
Yeah. And they even had what's his name? Chris Cox was out. He did a chat the other day, and he was saying that, okay, and this is this quote, and I hate to say it, I agree with him 100%. It's like, we could put out a D&D book that takes 18 months, or we could put out a D&D book that takes like a few weeks. And I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what he means, because like I'm finishing up, and you guys know what this is like I'm finishing up our books now for the Shadowdark. And I'm like, great, the books are done. Now I only have to wait like 9 months before we can send them to people, because it takes forever to print them. It takes forever to get them. It takes forever to ship them, but meanwhile, everyone already has the books in digital format. And then it's like in 9 months might as well be a million years. I mean, in 9 months in this world, it's like, it's the equivalent of 10,000 years. I mean, so much can change in 9 months. I mean, look at the shipping. The shipping has already gone up. I've had shipping prices go up. Shipping would usually come out once a year, and that's it. And then you have a shipping cost set, and they never go up. They've already increased shipping 3 times in 1 year, because I can't even charge for shipping now and expect to pay that in a month from now, because that's how much shipping is changing, and everyone's getting used to that. So it's very hard to plan for a physical world right now. So it's like everything in this world is pushing everyone to digital, whether you like it or not. And it's just me, it's everyone. So anyhow, have fun.
The 9 months equals 10,000 years analogy just kind of threw me off. It gave me these vibes of like a baby coming out, Rita Repulsa, and being like, after 10,000 years, I'm free. It's time to conquer Earth.
Well, we used to say when I was doing websites, 3 months is a year in web terms. And web, it's like dog years. So it's like every 3 months is equivalent of a year in internet world, when we used to do website design. So like if you waited more than if people took too long to do their websites, and sometimes we would be like until like say 9 months or 6-9 months, and then new technology would come out, and then the people who were dragging their heels to get the website out would be like, well, why can't we put that technology in? I was like, because we started your website 9 months ago and we can't put it in. It's too late. And they're all upset. That's why websites get refreshed every 1 to 2 years, because it's like, it's just so fast. Everything moves so fast. Anyhow, it's my old man ranting stuff.
To bring it home, should we be worried about long form campaigns and people's attention spans growing shorter, and not having time to dedicate 2 years to a campaign? And
yeah, but you also have your niche. I mean, the thing is like there'll always be several thousand people who like what you do, and as long as you can find those people, then you'll be fine.
Well, and that's, I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
is
that's all that
they talk, there's the 10,000 true fans, belief, like, right. I see these, we see these Kickstarters, we see these, small independent groups, and it's like, you only need to reach a few thousand people who are willing to give you a couple $100, and suddenly you're making millions, and that is life-changing money for and the ability for a business like it. It's only a problem when you're thinking about corporate shareholder equity and how do we sell this at the scale of a company that has a massive overhead and 200 300 plus employees, and has all these concerns and shareholders and board and equity and all this other stock driven considerations, that I think that this stuff becomes impractical. I think if anything, I think that the crowdfunding campaign scene is stronger now than I've ever seen it.
We keep breaking records, right?
No, it's the most it's ever been, like by far.
It's always very concentrated, so it's really hard to.
It is true. It is to
get people's attention, and it's always the big reach. Brands that can perform well, so that's that, and then you can compete however you want with that.
I'm talking about the big picture, because we're talking about like WotC and stuff. The big issue is that I think we're fine for now, and I think we're fine for even the next 5 to 10 years. But what will happen is that as people get older and people grow up with smaller adventures, they will unfortunately, or whatever, let's just say it could be anything. Like there was a time in the 70s when everyone used to have Jell-O for parts of dinner. Like Jell-O used to be a dinner thing, believe it or not. They used to have all these Jell-O molds and Jell-O recipes in the 70s that everyone did. Nowadays, if I said to you, and that was just a normality, but now if I said to you, hey, you guys want Jell-O for dinner? You look at me like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And I'm like, yeah, but that was normal. It's the same thing. It's like, I think you're okay for a few years, and you, as long as you keep bringing those people along who want the big mega adventures, but I think in like 20, 30, 40 years, mega adventures might be like Jell-O at dinner. It's like who plays one adventure for 5 years? That's so weird.
Or
like,
it could be a cycle, Stephen.
Or
Because
it can
as
be a
we
cycle.
pointed out,
That's true.
the earliest
That's true.
adventures in D&D were really short.
You're right.
And yet it still led to longer adventures coming out later on. It wasn't like them being short meant that people were all like, what are you doing? Why did you write these long adventures?
Yeah. I think we're fine as our size and as niche hobbyists, we're okay. But as for wizards doing this stuff, they're never going to do it again. And they just won't. I mean, there's too many reasons for them not to anymore.
Maybe they will just have us do it on their website.
That's what I was going to say.
We take the burden.
Exactly.
And
You know what? I
take
think
the
Gabor,
share.
you've sold me. I think this is the way forward.
That is the way forward.
No,
That
I
is
think
100%.
license these things out to enthusiasts who are willing to take maybe a lower cost per unit sold, make less profit per unit sold. And WotC can collect their, whatever 5 or 10 cents on the dollar or whatever the hell they get. And, I think that's great.
Yeah. But actually, I have to tell you, when I talked to them, they were looking for the one shots. They were like, even converting these long ones, pain in the ass, the HTML and XML and JavaScript, whatnot that goes into it. It's just too much to take, which is like, get an AI to do it.
We did have a super chat from Agile.
Yeah, Agile Monk said, just build all of your items in digest-sized booklets and/or books, hardcover or softcover, and include them in a Digest Plus size box, including bits and bobs and extras, and that is and will be the future, says Agile Monk.
Yeah, shout out number one, shout out Agile Monk. Number two, I do think that there is something to be said about that for sure.
Oh yeah, that's where things are going. I mean, look at Nimble's doing that. Nimble did great with that, and I actually like that model.
Right. I mean, because I'll even say, as a consumer, as someone who used to buy box sets when they were a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, opening up, your box set felt like Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a book is a book.
Right. It's convenient to store the stuff in a box if you're going to get the bits and bobs.
The box just falls apart and everything. No, it's really terrible. But like it's such a tactile experience. It's such a physical experience. I love it. But
I do like Agile Monk was there during the Jell-O Wars of the 70s, and Mark T was me too. See, we remember the Jell-O Wars, the Wars of Jell-O. Seriously, it was a thing back then.
That never reached Europe ever.
No, it was it was a huge thing here. It was such a big thing here. It was so ridiculous. But I will say they did that study. That's why legendary legacy games became a thing, because they did a huge study to see what was the favorite part of people playing board games, and they said opening it. That was their number one thing. Is not playing it, not learning the rules, opening it. So they're like, okay, let's make a whole game where all you do is open stuff. And then that's where the legacy game was born. And think about it, if you've ever played a legacy game, what is more fun than getting that envelope where you're like
opening it up and cracking it? Oh,
so
I want to play the game just to get access to my own stuff.
Yes.
I'm like, I paid for this.
Yes.
I paid for this.
I can't. And you're like, you have a whole box and none of it you can open. Because it's like, not, you're not allowed.
You're not allowed. It's not sealed, Stephen. But I sleeved all the bladed reach stuff for arcs.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of like deliberately didn't read like the fates, because I'm like, I want this to be like, oh shit, this could do that. Oh,
don't you? And that's the thing. Think about how popular, dude. Kraken Magic. There's nothing better. Opening packs. And you're like, oh, what's in here? Oh, what's in here? That's the most fun.
Right. Well, that's why I said the no one ever managed to crack the 4th edition tried with their fortune cards, but like no one ever managed to convince the collectible role playing game. Right. Like,
oh yeah.
There we go. So I think the ultimate role playing game for you, Derek, it's called The Envelopes of Erebor, and it is a Tolkien setting based a legacy role-playing game where you have to open different envelopes to reveal things, and you're just constantly
You know what?
revealing lore.
I actually think that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I told you that sounds fantastic. So,
You know, and imagine sitting down to make characters, and it's like you're opening packs, and you do like a draft, and like you have to like draft your character's abilities instead of just picking them out of a book, and you don't get to pick whatever you want, you know? And like I
ran a one-shot
that
called
sounds cool to me.
Fighter Squad versus the Throne of Evil, where basically it was like that, except for it was random packs.
Okay.
And I basically had these fighters, but I had like fighter feats and then some select ranger and barbarian feats. And there were like the high level ones and the low level ones. And we alternated out between randomly getting one of the high level ones or one of the low level ones. Did you get one that synergized at all with what you got last time? Did you get like an archery feat instead of like your two-hander feat? I don't care.
Yeah.
And it just like every time they fought, they would get one of these feats, and the high level ones were printed with like a +2, and the low level ones were printed with a +1, which they would add to all of their statistics. And we just fought increasingly powerful monsters. They started at first level. At the end, they fought a level 17 creature with this just hodgepodge of random feats that they had picked up, and that was the one shot.
There we go. Math guy Dave said he introduced his daughter to magic, and her favorite part is opening the packs. There you go.
Yeah, that's true.
It's everyone's favorite part. So all you got to do is take this and put it in a box. All your bits and bots, and you'll be able to see how. No, you'll trick them. You'll trick them. They'll like, oh, look, there's miniatures, there's a dice tower in there, there's dice, and then you put everything except the book. You mentioned everything. The book is last. Like you have all the other crap, and then people pick it up and they shake it and they hear all that stuff. Like, oh, what's in here? And they open it up and they're like, what's this book? I don't know what this is. Oh, look at all this other crap.
Well, we have the deluxe books.
I know. I love that dice tower of yours. I want that dice tower. That thing is awesome.
Oh yeah, we'll send you one. Like a life size one.
Yeah. No, they have a dice tower that looks like a mouth of madness. Like you drop the dice and it comes out of a mouth.
Cool.
It's really
Call
cool.
it brain in a box when you have
brain
the
in a
box with all your
box.
stuff.
There you go. That would sell great. That would sell really well.
I do have to run though. So.
All right. Well,
me too. So we will.
Yeah, but do check out their backer kit. I did post it, but your
Steven
art on this one.
link.
I think it's the best art you've had. Like all your art is good. This one's really good. Like I stopped when you first launched it. I was like, whoa! I was like, this looks cool. Like I like purple. So purple and silver is a good combo. Purple.
The color scheme looks great.
Really nice. Sure. I like this one a lot.
So be sure to check out the backer kit, everyone. And until next time, if you want to battle the zoo, you have to roll for combat.
That's right.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye, everybody.
See you.